Hi, and welcome to our proposed field trip to Scanlon Creek. Scanlon Creek Conservation Area is a place for everyone. They have several natural features such as a creek, scenic lookout, hilly terrain, mixed forests, and pine plantations. They also have a bark park for those looking along to bring their furry friends. Furthermore, Scanlon Creek offers a variety of outdoor education programs that are available for schools to book. Scanlon Creek is owned by the Lake Simcoe Region Conservation Authority. They are the local watershed management organization and dedicated to conserving, restoring, and managing the Lake Simcoe watershed. The LSRCA is all about implementing efforts that contribute to a thriving environment for not just our generation, but for future generations as well. Their mission is to work with our community to protect and restore the Lake Simcoe watershed by leading research, policy, and action. And lastly, they follow 5 values: integrity, accountability, collaboration, innovation, and excellence. For our field trip, we will be taking the grade 7 students to St. Joseph's Catholic School to participate in 2 activities at Scanlon Creek Conservation Area. The first is the Creekside Study, through which students will investigate the importance of water within the Lake Simcoe watershed and will develop and explore a deeper understanding of how this relates to aquatic and terrestrial habitats and ecosystems. Students will determine invasive species which are at risk, learn about water usage, and perform several hands-on simulations and games to learn more about water filtration. Students will also become more aware of water usage and appreciate water as a valuable resource that we should learn to protect and sustain. Then, after lunch, they will be participating in an orienteering session, which will develop their spatial sense and graphical literacy skills through orienteering activities. Students will learn how to read maps, interpret them, and to navigate through the park. Students will problem solve and use their maps and compasses in order to find specific locations and points indicated on the map. But how does this all relate to the curriculum and its connections? Well, using Acting Today, Shaping Tomorrow, which provides a variety of goals, strategies, and actions to incorporate environmental education into everyday classrooms, as well as Shaping Our Schools, Shaping Our Future, we are able to increase students' knowledge and develop skills and perspectives that foster environmental stewardship, model and teach environmental education through an integrated approach that promotes collaboration in the development of resources and activities, build students' capacity to take action on environmental issues, provide leadership support to enhance student engagement and community involvement, increase the extent to which environmental education is integrated into school board policy, procedures, and strategic plans, and enhance the integration of environmentally responsible practices into the management of resources, operations, and facilities. Based on these guidelines, the grade 7 curriculum in the Science and Technology Unit, Understanding Life Systems, Interactions in the Environment, and the grade 7 Geography Units, Physical Patterns in the Changing World, and Natural Resources Around the World, Uses and Sustainability, will be touched upon in our field trip. So, in order to prepare our students for the trip and to consolidate the activities they conducted on the trip, we will do several things. So, before the trip, we will discuss what are maps, compasses, and direction, symbols and scales, what constitute bodies of water, what are the basics of aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems, and what is the importance of water. After the trip, we will consolidate the activity by having students reflect upon their experiences by writing about what was the most important lesson that they learned on this field trip, describing at least one change that will make in their life to show that they care about water usage, and explain what their favorite activity was and why. We hope that through these activities, we will be able to solidify the content learning and experiential activities done in this field trip. There are several also required documentations and communications that need to go out to parents and to the principal, such as the out-of-class co-curricular form, application for student excursion form, parent approval and consent form, waiver of board financial liability for student excursions, demonstration of oral medication form and parents' consent and instructions for use of such medications, administration of oral medication to the child, medical log form, and prevalent medical conditions such as anaphylaxis and plan of care. So in order to take our 45 grade 7 students on one bus for the 7-hour trip, we will require one adult for every 20 students as it is a low risk and no high care is required. We will have 2 teachers as well as 1 volunteer. However, the volunteer must have a vulnerable sector police check, an offense declaration check, and a signed confidentiality agreement. The cost of this trip per student will also be $20, so the activities at Scanlon Creek cost $13 per student, and the bus is $125 an hour plus tax. When you add this all up, it comes up to $20 a student. Now, safety guidelines. So this trip will follow the OFIA outdoor education policies as well as DCDSB policies for safe schools to make sure that all students on this trip are safe and healthy coming back to the school. Now, for hazards. So on this trip, it will be important to take into account 4 categories of hazards. There are weather hazards, which include rain or thunderstorms and cold weather or hail. And it is important to make sure that students are dressed appropriately and that contingency plans in case it starts to thunderstorm or hail or rain are put in place and that nobody gets sick or injured in the process. Insect concerns. So at Scanlon Creek, it is important to be aware of mosquitoes, ticks, black flies, bees, and wasps, and make sure that all areas of your body are covered that need to be covered and that you use bug spray to make sure that nothing sticks to you. There are also plant concerns. At Scanlon Creek, we worry about giant hogweed, cow parsnip, and wild parsnip, and we want to make sure that if students do come into contact with these plants, that they are able to quickly wash off all of the resin from the plants and make sure that no injuries are sustained. There are also wildlife concerns. So students may see wild turkeys, raccoons, Virginia opossums, porcupines, red foxes, deer, coyotes, as well as leopard, green, bull, wood, and tree frogs, and toads. So students need to be cognizant of what wildlife is out there and be careful. However, no hunting is allowed in the Durham Regional Forest, and Scanlon Creek is a part of that, and so we do not need to be cognizant of those hazards. Now, for accommodations and modifications, if we have a student with a disability that needs to bring their own assistive technology, they are definitely allowed to do so. And students with disabilities such as vision impairments who require a guide dog or service animal will be able to bring them into the public facilities as well. And lastly, let's talk about emergencies. So in case an emergency does happen, a first aid kit will be accessible at all times. All injuries will be reported within 24 hours to the principal. Parents will be notified using an updated emergency contact number. And in the case of anaphylaxis, epinephrine will be administered and 911 will be called. And if a second dose of epinephrine is required, that will also be administered, hopefully once the ambulance gets there. Thank you for listening to our presentation on Scanlon Creek Conservation Area field trip. Bye.